Hey guys, welcome to Piano Challenge number 28. If you want to get the sheet music and backing tracks and all that for all of my challenges, just go back to pianowithwillie.com/challenge. Put in your email address there and you're all good to go. It doesn't cost you a dime, all right? So last week we were talking about that F minor 7 or F minor 11 chord voicing, all right? This week we're talking about this B flat 7, sharp 9, flat 13 chord voicing. A lot of times I would just consider this an alt voicing or an altered voicing, and rather than putting in sharp 9, flat 13, instead put in the letter ALT, all right, those three letters, and that means altered. Now what does that mean, altered? That means a lot of times that what we would do is we could either do sharp 9 or flat 9, okay, so like we can have that sharp 9 or flat 9 interchangeable with that flat 13 as well. So let's break down the voicing. B flat obviously is the root, A flat is the 7th, D is the 3rd, right? So we have the 7th and the 3rd, and then we're adding in the sharp 9, and then we're adding in the flat 13. Now you notice that the virtual keyboard all says flats. I have it set all to flats so it doesn't like bounce around between sharps and flats and whatnot, but take a look at the music here. This is a more accurate representation of how you would notate this, all right? So flat 7, sharp 9, natural 3rd, and flat 13, all right? So when we're creating these voicings, notice that we have those guide tones in there all the time, right? So we have the 7th and the 3rd, or the 3rd and the 7th, okay? And then at that point, then we're adding on tensions or other chord tones. Now, when we did the F minor 7 last week, or F minor 11 last week, notice we still have the 3rd and the 7th in there, and then we replaced the 5th with the 11th, and then we added in the 9th. We replaced the 5th because the 5th isn't really a super important chord tone, especially if it's not being altered, all right? So if we had like an F minor 7 flat 5, then that would be different. That's an altered 5th, so then we would want to make sure that we have that 5th in there. But when the 5th is just a plain old 5, we can a lot of times take that out and instead do other things. Like here's like an F minor 6, right? So now I'm going through and just running through these voicings really quick. If you want a much more detailed, in-depth instruction about voicings, take a look at pianowithwillie.com and the lessons that I have there, because I go through really in a lot of detail on how to create these rootless chord voicings, and different exercises and all that good stuff, and sheet music, of course. So B flat 7, this is my basic B flat 7 chord. Again, 7th and 3rd, 9th and 13th. In this case, we're sharpening the 9 and we're flatting the 13th, okay? So this is a very common altered chord voicing, all right? So when we add this together to F to B flat 7, you hear we have that 2-5. Oops. So F minor 7, B flat 7. And then there's a couple of ways you could do this. You could play the root here for F minor, and then the root there for B flat 7. And notice I'm holding down the pedal while I play that root and then the next chord. You don't want to do this. You don't want to hold down the pedal the whole time because it all mushes together, right? So you hold down the pedal, play F minor, then lift the pedal, hold it down, play the B flat, okay? And then there you have your two voicings. Now, once we get to challenge number 30, I'm going to have a play-along track so you won't have to worry about playing that bass note, because these rootless chord voicings we typically play with the addition of a bass player. All right? So a lot of times the bass player will be playing the root, and then we keep the root out of it. Now, these voicings are super important voicings for jazz piano, right? So if you want to play any type of jazz piano, you want to start to learn and understand these voicings. And not just these, but the other ones that I was talking about that are at the Piano with Willie site, the basic minor 7, dominant 7th, and major 7th, all of those voicings, you want to make sure that you really get those down very well. And have them under your fingertips, because those are the voicings that you need for to play jazz piano. My new improvisation essentials course, that's also going to be a great course for you, because we're going to go through chords, voicings, but then also talk about improvising over the top of them. So I'm really excited about that. You could check that out also at the Piano with Willie site. All right, so last thing here is, what about moving this into another key? Well, we start with the 7th and the 3rd, add in sharp 9, flat 13. There it is for C. Let's say I want to do B, kind of a harder key to like work in, right? Start with my 7th, my 3rd, sharp 9, flat 13. Now, there is something very interesting about this chord voicing, and that is that another way of looking at it is if you go to the tritone, okay? So let me go back to B flat 7. So if I go to the tritone of B flat, that would be E, right? Guess what? This is an E7 chord voicing, just a basic E7 chord voicing. But when I play the tritone underneath it, that B flat, then it creates that tension. I'll give you a little trick here too. A lot of times bass players will like to do that at the very end. Instead of playing the root of the key, especially if it's ending on that dominant 7th chord, they'll play that tritone. So rather than ending on that, they'll do something like that, and it creates that tension. It's a really kind of a cool trick that bass players like to use. So if you play acoustic bass in a jazz group, try doing that trick. Okay, if you're playing, you know, a blues, you know. Right, you can end on that B flat as well. So I just playing kind of there in E and then move to the B flat at the very end rather than just like ending on that E7. So there's kind of 2 tricks for you in this challenge here today. All right, so make sure you have down the F minor 11 voicing. Make sure you have down this B flat 7 altered voicing. All right, next week we're going to talk about a major 7th voicing, and then in challenge number 30, I'm going to show you how to improvise over the top of that with a backing track. All right, see you guys soon.